wyvern suddenly attacks Machio's village, but luckily Rue and Tia can cast barrier magic. They wanted to attack the wyvern directly, but unfortunately, this wyvern had very strong magic barriers and was difficult to penetrate with their magic. In Machio's mind, he understood that Rue and Tia were worried about the safety of this village. They definitely couldn't use too much magic because their power could cause damage to the village. Machio was very angry because some of his fields were destroyed. He wanted to attack the wyvern to protect his wives, but he couldn't use magic. Suddenly, Machio accidentally activated his all-purpose farming tool, and there was already a golden spear in Machio's hand. Then he immediately attacked the wyvern with the spear. Of course, Rue and Tia are surprised after seeing Machio show his anger and strength for the first time. Machio's wives reported that the house in the village was safe, but the fields were almost burnt. They also approached the dead wyverns in the forest. Machio was curious why the wyverns suddenly came and immediately attacked his village. Who sent the wyvern? Was this the order of the Demon King? Rue, Tia, and Ria say this has nothing to do with the Demon King. There was no way a Demon King could only rule over a single wyvern like that. It was a wild wyvern that happened to be passing by here. But the wyvern they had just defeated was a rare type of wyvern, and almost the same as a dragon. They know this because the wyvern can emit large fire attacks. Then Machio concluded that today was the bad luck that befell the village the first time, so he didn't think about it anymore. Then Machio thanked Tia and Rue because they had withstood the wyvern's first attack.
ところで、
何？
これって食べられるのかな?
Then they decided to take the wyvern to the village. Of course, the elves were very excited because the wyvern's meat was so delicious, and it could be cooked in all kinds of food. Machio cooks a lot of food for his wives because they have worked hard to protect the village. Machio's wives are pleased because they can eat this rare wyvern meat. Ria said that there used to be a large army that wanted to kill the wyvern in its nest. They wanted to try tasting the delicious wyvern meat. But unfortunately, the army failed to kill the wyvern, and instead, they were eaten by the wyvern. Then Tia and Rue are still thinking about Machio's previous strengths. They wouldn't be able to withstand the attack since their magic was like a low-level barrier to Machio's abilities. Machio's spear could penetrate 3 layers of wyvern defenses at once. Even Machio's ability can make a big hole in a wyvern's body. Rue and Tia were lucky because they were only attacked by Machio's pet at that time. If Machio had attacked them, they would probably be dead now.
運命に感謝していただけよ。
大げさだな。
On the other hand, it turns out that the Demon King's castle is not far from Machio's village. Dizzle, the advisor of the Demon King, reports to Randon, the Demon King, that a wyvern is heading to the castle, defeated by a mysterious person. Of course, this made Randon and Blatt, Heavenly King, extremely shocked and panicked. This rare wyvern couldn't possibly be defeated so easily by the Demon King's massive army. They were also panicked because the person who killed the wyvern might become their enemy. But they would see the progress first, and this was the right time for Randon to step down and retire as the Demon King. On the other hand, there is a dragon race castle not far from Machio village. Dorame, the strongest dragon, has been watching Machio's movements from a distance for a long time. He also asked his loyal servant, Gucci, whether the spear could hurt him as the strongest dragon. Gucci replied that no matter what happened, he, as a demon race, would protect Dorame wherever. So Dorame didn't have to worry, and they had to be careful with Machio not to make war with him.
敵対は愚策かと。
A few days later, Machio created a special vineyard. There was still plenty of wyvern meat left, and yesterday's dinner would not have been complete without wine. Of course, Machio's wives were very supportive of this because they also wanted to drink wine. They knew the winemaking process, so Machio made a wine press for them to work on. Machio will fill the barrels he has made with his wife, Rarasha. She was skilled in winemaking and understood how to make barrels not leak. Then Machio ordered his wives to press the grapes with clean feet.
大丈夫か?
なんとか働くときによく歌う歌があって、あ、それいいかものようなものがあった方がまとまって動きやすいかもしれません。瞬間カーニバラソッセスタンパスデリラッペー。リュウさん、ほら楽しいですよ。
ちょっと、
ほら
After pressing the grapes, they had to wait for the fermentation process. But they'd made the wine too much, and Machio wasn't sure it would run out soon. Machio's wives assured him that these wines would run out and they would produce them again soon. On the other hand, God is being scolded by his daughter, who turns out to be the goddess of agriculture. The goddess of agriculture was furious with her father because he had reincarnated Machio into the forest of the dead. Even God gave a hard life to innocent humans like Machio in his previous world. The agriculture goddess would not spare her father for being careless. Even the goddess of agriculture was angry that her father gave Machio the holy spear. Machio's all-farming tool ability is a powerful blessing from God. It was an extremely extraordinary ability, and an ordinary human would be unable to use it. Stamina will be drained, and the body can be destroyed if someone continues to use that ability. It can even die instantly using just one tool. The goddess of agriculture got angrier at her father because the statue Machio had made had the shape of a weak grandfather. The goddess of agriculture would sentence him to sit for 300 years listening to her rambles.
言い訳は無用。生徒300年です。このうっかり親父。
が上回ってるんじゃないかと。
うかつすぎると言ってるんです。
勘弁してくれ、娘よ。
A few weeks later, Zabathan rings the village bell again, and Machio rushes to the location the Zabathan children indicated. Well, the same thing happened again, and this time it was Rue's cousin who was caught by the Zabathan and Kuroyuki families. Her name was Flora, and Machio immediately took Flora to his house. Flora had come to this forest after following Rue for a long time, and Rue definitely still be chased by the sly angel.
誰が腹黒ですか？どうしているんですか？
After Flora told him about herself, Machio offered Flora to stay here for a few days. Flora must be exhausted from walking all the way into this forest. Then Flora accepts Machio's offer, but she hesitates. How can a man like Machio become Rue's husband?
あまりパッとしませんわね。
Rue replied that her beloved husband could tame many demon spiders and inferno wolves. Rue is also proud of Machio because he can kill a wyvern with only 2 hits. After hearing that, Flora apologized for her rude words to Machio earlier. Then Machio realized that Kuro was a demon wolf who could use magic. All this time, Machio thought that Kuroyuki was an ordinary stray dog.
すごいな。
知らないで一緒に暮らしてたのね。
Then Machio served lots of food to Flora as an apology for the treatment of the Kuroyuki and Zabathan families in the forest. Of course, Flora really enjoyed the food Machio made. She was also new to this soft tofu dish. Machio explained that tofu is made from soybeans and can be more delicious when combined with miso and soy sauce. Flora was confused by the food spoken by Machio. Then Machio explained his knowledge of making miso and soy sauce. Then Flora recorded the knowledge given by Machio. She also has the same hobby as Rue, researching anything they find out about. A few days later, Flora will return to her territory first. She promised to return soon and brought miso and soy sauce to Machio. A few days later, Flora returned to Machio's village and brought many maids for him. 2 maids named Anne and Remurias. The rest I don't know because there are too many girls in Machio's village. Anne is the maid's representative, and if Machio needs anything, the maids are always ready to provide it to Machio. Flora also brought a female cow to be used as cattle in Machio's village. That way, this village can produce more milk, cheese, and margarine or raise cows. Flora had already asked her father for permission to bring them here, so Machio needn't have worried. Machio is very happy because Flora really helps the development of this village. Then suddenly, Tia thought something about her existence in this village. Zabathan and Kuroyuki already have families. Many elves also live here. The vampire race and the maids of the Kijin race are also here. Because of that, Tia asks Machio's permission to leave for a while. Tia doesn't want her existence to disappear and must help Machio not to lose to the others.
ただいま戻りました。
A few days later, Tia brought her subordinates from the angel race, Gran Maria, Kudal, and Koron. Then there are many races of lizardmen, and it is represented by Daga. Tia also brings chicken for Machio so he can get supplies of meat and eggs. Of course, Machio is happy and grateful to Tia because she has helped Machio to develop this village. Tia's heart was filled with flowers because she could make her husband happy. A few days, weeks, or months later, the maids had gotten used to living in this village. They can do any housework and have extraordinary stamina. But unfortunately, they can't cook and always eat normal food. Because of that, Machio teaches them how to cook because they are women. After all, cooking is fun. After a few days, the maids quickly learned how to cook and were able to serve food to Machio. Well, even if the appearance of the food is not pretty, they want to continue developing their cooking skills. By the way, 3 of Tia's subordinates were guarding the village and patrolling the forest by air. Tia didn't want any wyverns to suddenly attack the village again like that time. The lizardmen also helped Machio to carry wood for the village. They had the same face and body shape, so it was difficult for Machio to call them. Because of this, Machio gave Daga the captain's belt so he could distinguish them. Not long after, Ria brought the other high elves, who were still scattered in the forest. Machio is surprised because all of the high elf races are girls. Ria said that the men in the high elf race had almost nothing left from the war hundreds of years ago. But that won't be a problem because the high elf race will continue to have children, with the one human male in this village.
これからどんどん増やしていければ
A few days or weeks later, representatives of each race are called to Machio's house. Machio wants to name this village because he can no longer count the residents. Most of the population is female, and Machio wants to discuss a suitable name, and suggested that the name of the village be taken from the name of this forest, the Forest of Death being the Village of Death. Of course, Machio didn't agree because that name was too scary and depressing. Rue suggests Machio use his own name, but Machio disapproves of Rue's suggestion as it seems too individual. Then Zabathan suggested Machio name this village based on the Japanese name of a giant tree, Teiju. Then Machio liked that name because the giant tree was like a symbol in this village. At night, Machio throws a party to celebrate and make the village's new name official. Of course, they will enjoy the party tonight with Teiju Village's first produced wine. Everyone was very happy to be able to live peacefully here, and they had decided that Machio was the village chief of this Teiju village. Then Tia invited Machio to chat together because Machio had been daydreaming alone. Machio says that this joy and peace are like a dream for him, but the life Machio is living now is real life. Tia says everyone will live happily here from now on.
大樹の村に乾杯です。
そうしたいな。
じゃあ、起きちゃったんですか？ずるい。
頑張ってみるか村長。